Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Surviving Mars Relaunched. This is a game that's coming to Steam on November 10th, 2025. The footage that you're looking at was taken around mid-October, so for the most part what you're seeing should be somewhat reflective of the finished product, and I'm just going to be open and honest here. I haven't had a chance to come back to this to see if some of my bug reports were addressed. So the game may have been fixed, may not have been. If anything changes, if I hear anything back from my PR rep, I'll be happy to put it in the comments below. But as of right now, let's just go ahead and talk about what Surviving Mars is for those of you that don't know anything about it. So this is a city builder, if I had to sort of generalize it. You're going to choose a sponsor. This is kind of like your starting faction, as it were. You can choose between like the USA, China, Europe, whatever. And each one has different buffs associated with it. Same with a commander profile. You can choose a hydro engineer, an inventor, whatever. So there's a lot of different ways to set up your game. There's even a story that you could choose if you want. You don't have to have a mystery, as it's called, in the game if you don't want it, but these are just extra stories to sort of spice up your game, as it were. That is a lot of fun. You can choose whether or not to have rival factions or colonies on Mars with you. They will sometimes mess with you, but you can trade with them. Again, I'm catering here to those that have never heard of this game before. There's even the ability to adjust various game rules. So I like that too. So if you want fast rockets, or if you want no disasters or bad events, that kind of thing, you can turn politics off, which I'll get to later. Politics is a new thing as part of this relaunched. And then once you're happy with all of that setup, you get like a starter rocket, and you're going to land this rocket on Mars so that you can start a colony there. But you don't bring people there right away. First, you have to set up the infrastructure to do it. You'll need to get a regular supply of water and oxygen and other things, power. So you'll be creating the infrastructure and domes and all that stuff so that when you do land your people, they'll be able to survive. They'll need food as well, so you may have to put some farms down in these domes. And each person will be working in these various structures, and they'll have needs. They'll have needs, so you'll have to worry about making sure they have enough shopping, and there's a bar too, or they need electronic satisfaction. There's a slew of different things that they'll need to stay happy. Medical needs, security needs. And this will affect their sanity and how well how happy they are. And all of these things require resources like raw materials. So you'll have to get metals and polyester, I think it is, and various things that are polymers, not polyester. Everyone doing disc anyway. disc. Polymers. It's going to be a long video, folks. So yeah, long story short, you'll need machine tools and other things, other raw goods to maintain all of this stuff too. There's even a huge tech tree, and you can even have that randomized in the beginning. So, there's a typical layout to this tech tree. It goes from top down, and the tech gets more and more expensive as you go down these various trees. There's even breakthroughs as well, and these breakthroughs will change the game in various ways. So like there's so much here. Let me tell you, like I've pumped so many hours into Surviving Mars, the original, not the relaunch, but the original. I have about 15 to 20 hours in the relaunched, and about over 100 plus hours in Surviving Mars, the original game. And I'll get into the differences in a little bit. But ultimately, what you choose to do is up to you. The DLC that I had mainly for the original game, the Surviving Mars, was the green one where you could terraform the entire planet. That was my personal goal. I wasn't happy until the planet was terraformed. I also had that above and below, which involves sending rockets to asteroids, passing asteroids, and also digging underground and exploring tunnels. That kind of worked. It was more monotonous and time-consuming than it was rewarding, in my opinion. So Yeah, I mean, you're going to be sending rockets back and forth between Earth and Mars. You've got money to worry about. You've got resources to worry about. You'll have to, pay money at the start, really, to request more things from Earth until you're self-sustaining on Mars. And it's beautiful. It really is. It's a game that and the radios that you can enact and listen to. There's various musical things, and I really this game, I can get lost in this game for several hours slash days at a time. Like in the beginning, like the beginning and mid game is good. Okay, it's really good. The end game gets a little fuzzy. In the original game, it was just a constant population surge that I couldn't deal with. I couldn't send people back to Earth. They were just I got notifications that they were dying left and right because there were just so many people. So the game didn't give you a way to solve the end game population problem. And I'm sorry to say that this relaunched version didn't really do that either. I was still getting tons of messages at the end of my playthrough with the relaunched version. The end game was still a mess. It was still a mess. So once I terraformed Mars, that was I kind of quit after that. I did test out some of the new stuff as well, just to see. The main problems I had with the relaunched version was that I was told that certain mechanics were revisited, but they didn't tell me specifically what they did with it. And I even talked to like several emails to my PR rep. I said, "Look, can you tell me what they've changed specifically? What did they change? Why are they doing a relaunch? Why?" No response. So I did compile a bunch of posts on Steam, like from like blog posts from the developers, and I'll get into that later. Okay, I'll get into that later. But just to quickly sum up everything that I've said up to date, this is a city builder, colony builder. The early game, middle game, lots of fun. End game gets really messy, but usually I quit anyway before the population gets too out of hand. My goal is to just terraform Mars and be done with it. Again, that's with the green. I don't remember the name of it exactly. Now, what you're looking at here is what the relaunched version offers. So the relaunched version offers the Green Planet. That's the name of the DLC I was talking about. The Below and Beyond, not Above and Below. I think it's Below and Beyond is that DLC. And the Space Race, as well as 6 content packs. You can see on the screen here everything that is included with this relaunched version. So you're getting all of this content at a relaunched price of $40 if you don't own the core original game, if you don't own the original Surviving Mars. Returning people that do own Surviving Mars get a 50% discount if you own Surviving Mars 2018. It doesn't say anything about the DLC packs because you may have spent a lot of money on those DLC packs. Different people will be spending different amount of money on games, and it wasn't cheap. And I'll show you the pricing structure later. So returning people get a 50% discount. Now there is an ultimate edition here. There's an ultimate edition that will also be offered for $60, and returning customers can spend $40 to get this ultimate edition. That includes everything I just showed you, plus it's like an expansion pass. It looks like they're going to be adding more content later. Surviving Mars Relaunched Feeding the Future and Surviving Mars Relaunched Machine Utopia. The former arrives Q2 of 2026 and the latter arrives Q4 2026. My problem with this Ultimate Edition is you're asking people to pay for a pass without divulging in detail what they're paying for. I hate it when games do that. Oh, you can buy the pass, you can buy the premium pass, you can buy the no. Like if I'm gonna buy this Ultimate Edition or whatever, tell me what I'm getting in advance. Tell me something about Feeding the Future. Tell me something about Machine Utopia. I, I'm already like, there are several people already paying again for a game they already own. And now you're paying extra for a pass for products that you don't know what's in them. Who knows? They could be one or two structures and not worth the extra 10, $20 for the Ultimate Edition. I mean, you don't know. So I want to see more information. And I highly urge customers to forego the Ultimate Edition until there's more information. I mean, as a paying customer, I would want to know, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you want to know what you're paying for? I think so. So that's a quick look at the differences there. Now, what's new? At least based on what I've seen. Now, have you ever played Frostpunk 2? That's going to be my question to you. Have you played Frostpunk 2? In Frostpunk 2, there was a fairly significant political system in play where different factions affected the votes on the council, and you sort of had to make deals with the ones that went against what they didn't like. Make deals with them so that you can get votes to swing your way. Well, that's what they did here. In the beginning, there's only a couple of factions, and you're every now and again going to be able to put up a vote for various policies, and different factions will agree with it, and certain factions will agree with it, so others will hate it, and you'll have to hope that the vote passes. If you've played Frostpunk 2, it is very similar to that. Okay, so that's what this new political system has in store for us. It's just, you're going to get constant messages from the factions. The problem is, you're never going to make everybody happy. Like, that's part of the problem. So I was constantly getting bombarded with messages. Oh, this faction's upset. Constant. Now, down the line, it got worse. After the initial voting stuff, then the Martian Assembly came along. There's a lot of different laws to vote on, and what's cool about that is some of them require a regular maintenance cost. So you can pass these laws to get this bonus, but you have to pay something every month, like money every month. It goes against your budget. So you have to really look and pay attention to what laws you're enacting. It may sound good on paper, but you may not be able to afford it yet. So that's one thing I would highly recommend. Like, before you start passing all sorts of laws, check to see if it costs something to maintain, because that is a thing. But again, my problem with that political stuff is every 10, 15 seconds, there was a faction on the brink, a faction on the brink, a faction on the brink. They hated. You can't make them all happy. It's impossible, because they all want different things. So it was like Tropico 3 and 4 and 5, no, more like 5 and 6, where the factions are just constantly complaining to you about things. And that's how I felt about that. The trains, I didn't own the trains in the prior game, like the regular core game before the Relaunched. I never owned the trains, so I can't make a comparison. All I can tell you was they were my go-to before I got the flying shuttles. Once I got the flying shuttles, I didn't care anymore about the trains. And it seems like the trains were built all as one entity rather than, in segments like the power cord or the power poles and stuff. But yeah, like, it would transport resources and food back and forth between my two locations. You can expand it further beyond that, but that's as simple as it was. I didn't have any issues with it, really. It functioned as intended. I never played the game. I never owned the DLC for the trains before this. Now, here's where things got frustrating. Below and beyond, the beyond part is where you can send rockets to passing asteroids and get these special kind of minerals from these asteroids. And that's typically how you get them. Like, you can only get these resources either from here or below, which is underground, which you'll see later. My issue here was nothing seemed to work as intended. A lot of bugs, a ton of bugs. And for starters, I was given a free micro G auto extractor, a free one, but I hadn't researched it yet. So I was given this free thing. I'm like, I'll just use that, and then I'll research it later. I got to the asteroid. I couldn't build it because even though I had a free one, I couldn't build it yet. So why did you give me a free one to test it when I can't even do it? Then I tried to leave. This was the most frustrating part of the game. I couldn't figure out or tell the stupid shuttles to pack everything up and go. There was a leave immediately button, which left everything behind, but I couldn't clearly tell these shuttles, these rockets, to pack up, like to collect everything, pack up, and leave. And when I landed a second one, they were transferring resources between each other. The drones just kept going back and forth between the two shuttles. I'm like, collect everything and please leave. But there was nothing, the interface wasn't making it easy to do that. And there was a requested payload, but it didn't tell me what was actually on the shuttle. So this part of the game frustrated me to the part where I stopped. Like, I ignored this part of the game after a while. Actually, there was another bug. I saw that I could research, I could bring a rover there to research the eyeball that was sitting there on the surface. I queued up the rover to leave. It wouldn't go on the shuttle. It wouldn't go on the shuttle. It would go on the shuttle to explore the missions around Mars, but it wouldn't go to the asteroid. So, and it would bring something else. If I requested this, it would bring this other thing instead. I took screenshots. I sent it to my PR rep that I got the code from, and he said he'll let me know if they fix this or whatever. And I haven't heard anything. As of 10/31/2025. Again, if that changes, I'll leave a comment. But this was buggy, it was awful, and I did not want to touch this part of it again. It made it very unfun. It was not working as intended. And I've played, I have several hundred hours in the other game. I know how to work the interface. Whatever reason, this wasn't working right. And it was just, stuff kept getting left behind. It was just a mess. So, yeah, I was very disappointed with my experience there. So it doesn't seem like they got all of their ducks in a row with regards to the the below and beyond DLC. So that part of it, not happy. And I was frustrated because I liked that stuff. I liked sending rockets to asteroids and collecting these rare minerals, even though it didn't do a whole lot in the core game, and it was still like an extra thing to do and to shoot for, and I kind of wanted to do it, but it was just very disappointing. So that part of it, I never came back to. Now the below part, this is where you find like 2 or 3 holes on the surface of Mars, and you build an elevator down, and the networking is so tedious. You have to build drone hubs, and you have to build lights so that you can see what you're doing, and power cables. It's monotonous, and it's not fun. Like, this is another part of the game where all of the work that I put into creating this underground network, I didn't see any return from this. Like, what was the point? Like, there was nothing earth-shattering huge. I got to a couple of different, like, points of interest that were, oh, that's cool. But like the core game, I didn't see a benefit long-term in doing this. Like, it didn't change the game that much. Like, I could have ignored this part of the game and still have terraformed Mars or whatever it is I needed to do. So the original problem with the original game, that the Below and Beyond DLC didn't do enough to make playing their new mechanics worthwhile, I still felt that way here. Even though the game, the developers advertise this as reworked, I still don't know fully what they reworked. There's no information on that I can find anywhere. Nor, again, I asked the PR rep and I never got a response as of yet. So, I was expecting more here for a reworked mechanic or reworked system, reworked DLC, whatever you want to call it. I wasn't impressed with this part of the game. I wasn't impressed. So unfortunately, yeah, you would be free to ignore these mechanics and probably just concentrate on the core game and be happy with it. It doesn't seem like they made enough changes to these DLCs, at least this Below and Beyond, to make it worthwhile, this reworked. So the key differences, let's talk about that, and pricing and all that. So the key differences: relaunched features, upgraded visuals, a revamped UI, and new gameplay, such as political mechanics added through the Martian Assembly update. It is designed for modern systems, including consoles like PS5 and the Xbox Series. And as far as researching what specifically they reworked, there was a couple of blog posts regarding that. The underground maps from Below and Beyond have received quality of life improvements that help with navigation of drones and rovers. We made the caverns wider in order to enable fitting larger buildings into your settlements. This entire treasure trove of anomalies is out there waiting to be discovered. Don't forget to pack a trusty explorer rover so you can scan them, research points, blah, blah, blah. So, long story short, they made the caverns wider, and they supposedly made the waypoints better, the navigating and all that stuff. But it didn't seem like they added enough oomph to make me want to. You know what I mean? Like they quality of life stuff. That's their rework. Now, if they did add something, they should tell me. I did request this information. I never got it. So yeah, that's one thing I found via their blog posts. Another one, the asteroid stuff. The asteroid maps do have better lighting now. And since we are quote-unquote industrious species, we've added a new way to capture asteroids and prevent them from escaping. The asteroid catcher. Now, I didn't build one, but assuming it works as intended, again, I got too frustrated to play around with these asteroids anymore. But yeah, now you can catch the asteroids and stabilize their orbit, but you'll have to get through a lot of tech first before you can do it. So that is a new mechanic. So that is something that's cool. I'm glad that they have added this asteroid catcher. So that is a thumbs up for me there. But the mechanics and the UI behind the system doesn't seem to be working as intended. Now, the original price of Surviving Mars was $30, and the digital deluxe edition, which includes the upgrade pack, was $40. Okay, keep this in mind. $30 for the core game, $40 for the digital. And then beyond that, $106.87 worth of DLC, as Paradox Interactive is tend to do. If you've ever seen any of their other games published, by Paradox, they're click on any of their games and see how much DLC they typically add to games. Stellaris, City Skyline. Anyway, so long story short, this is like $100 plus the $30-$40. So it's $140 for the whole package originally. So now, like I said, they've, with this relaunch, included all of that $100 worth of stuff and updated stuff, and now you're getting a complete game, including everything for $40. $40 if you don't own any of it, and then $20 or so if $20 or so if you did own the previous game. So there's that discount if you already owned it. Now, why did they decide to do an entire relaunch? And I pulled this from the Steam blog posts. I'm going to read this off. When we started investigating the next steps for Surviving Mars, our goal was simple: to create more content for the existing game. We saw frequent requests from players eager for more and wanted to investigate what new expansions we could potentially add for the game. So it wasn't as straightforward as what they're saying. The original version of Surviving Mars hasn't been touched by Haemimont Games for several years. The last direct involvement was in 2019. Later updates and expansions were developed with the help of community content creators in a different studio, expanding the game in new directions. During that time, Haemimont continued development of their own engine. So this meant that one of the first major considerations we had to make was whether to move Surviving Mars to Haemimont's new engine. The new engine offers significant improvements to visuals, performance, and tools, including the asset pipeline used by modders, while the old version had become outdated for things we wanted to do now. Another key motivator, and one perhaps the biggest one, was that moving to a new engine would mean properly supporting the new generation of consoles natively, something that would not be possible with the old one. And then further, an engine shift would not just result in technical improvements either. It would also open up creative opportunities that simply wouldn't have been made possible on the old one. The downside is, of course, that save files and mods would not be compatible, as we would have to rebuild the game on the new engine. But reverting back would limit both the team's ideas and the game's potential. So all of this in mind, we decided to move forward. And that, according to the blog post, is why they decided to do a relaunch. Some back-end stuff, some preparation for new stuff like that DLC. I can see that. I can understand that. And I have two opinions on all of this. So if you don't own Surviving Mars at all, like at all, and this is your first time, then yes, I would recommend the game at $40 because that includes all of the previous DLC. That includes everything. You're gonna get a lot of playtime for that $40. My big problem is what about previous owners that have already sunk 60 to $100 in the original game with DLCs? They're only gonna get half off. So you're paying $20 for a patch. You're paying $20 for a new UI, a political patch, and supposedly reworked content on two of the DLCs, the trains and the Below and Beyond. You're paying for a patch at that point. That I have a problem with that. Like, that's not fair to them. So I would have, like, if it were me, I'd give them the game for free as a sign of goodwill. That's just me, though. I mean, you're a big company. I get it. Things aren't cheap and you have to pay developers and pay a staff. I get that. But you're asking your loyal customers who have already spent hundreds of hours in the original game to pay for something again, and in their eyes, they're paying for a patch. That's not cool. So that's a pretty crappy business practice, in my opinion. And if this were a mom and pop indie studio, I can maybe see that. But this is Paradox Interactive we're talking about here. Paradox Interactive, look at their DLC policy. Look at their DLC policy. And if you're familiar, you'll know what I'm talking about. So part of me is wondering, are they just trying to nickel and dime customers? Because they're doing it in other places, why not here? So I'm giving the game, I love, let's just say it this, I love Surviving Mars, I do. Aside from the endgame bloat, where, you know, there's no way to get rid of dying people, and that's still a problem here. Aside from that endgame crap, and aside from the above and below, or the below and beyond bugs, this was an enjoyable experience for me. My 15 to 20 hours of playtime with this relaunched version was fun. I enjoyed it. I did. But the other part of me is like, as a paying customer, paying customers don't care about your staffing issues or your engine remakes or any of that. What they care about is how much money they have to pay to continue playing the game that they like. And most customers, yes, some will understand it's a business, and they may be sympathetic to that, some of them. But as a paying customer, we are conscious of what we spend money-wise. So I'm giving this a thumbs up for the game, but I'm giving this a thumbs down for that business practice of making people pay again for a game they already own. That's a problem. At least you could have done more than 50%, maybe 75%, 80%. It's still a patch. Like, it's just, ugh. Yeah. Or maybe as a sign of goodwill, give them the upcoming DLCs for free. Something. So that's where I stand with this. And I know this video has gone on fairly long, so I'll just end it here. If you've never played Surviving Mars before, yes, get Surviving Mars relaunched. It is worth it. There may be bugs. I don't know. I'm not getting a response back from my PR rep or Paradox for that matter, or Hamamont, but there may be bugs, but you'll still get a lot of playtime for the $40 that you spend. Returning customers, that's completely up to you. I don't know what to tell you. You have to decide for yourselves whether $20 for a patch and the possibility of upcoming DLCs and stuff is worth it to you. This is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Take care.